So now I'm coming to a topic called the myth of progress. And I'm going to, the reason why I came up, I have alluded to this before, but there's a very tendency among modern, with our modern education, to think, or to actually, not even think, to firmly accept the notion, the notion that we are making progress. We are moving. So we are making progress towards some kind of elevated discourse. I mean, lack of better words. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to help me out.
Civilization version 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, 2 and 3, but they are going to a higher and higher status. Like,
so we are right now in universe. We are civilization number level 1.
Yeah,
that's level 2.
That's Michio Kaku's version of.
We start harnessing the energy of stars.
But we are not talking about that. We are talking about in sociological terms, in cultural terms, in moral terms. What Steven Pinker says, we are becoming better and better human beings. We are becoming angels.
Better human being, less
mankind previously was a savage, right? He was a savage. He was a brutal person, and through the evolutionary process, he has become a better person. Correct? This is the thinking. Now, this thinking, forget about the evolutionary aspect. Can this be justified in purely epistemic and philosophical terms? It turns out no. And who were the two major critics of this concept? Can you guess? Thomas Malthus and Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche is the philosopher whose famous words are what? God is dead.
Übermensch.
Sorry?
His philosophy is Übermensch.
Yes. Now imagine this philosopher himself is critiquing the myth of progress. And we as Muslims can sit together and say very confidently, oh, we are making progress. And you actually argue on that subject? When the philosopher who invented the word God is dead is critiquing this concept. Malthus, everybody knows Malthus. Remember Malthus? Population model, dynamics, Malthusian economics, dynamics. He's the one who talked about the limitation of the resources of the world, that we have to kill a few thousand people to make sure that the other people survive better, right? He says mankind is not making progress. And I am honestly, it hits me, a lack of better words, that Muslims can sit down and confidently come up to me and say, oh, I am ready to argue that we are making progress. Most people are aware of imperialism, colonialism, okay? We are subject of that. So the argument can be made that colonialism was very good for India. In fact, it was made by Manmohan Singh in his Oxford address. And he made a very logical address, argument. Imperialism, colonialism was very good for India. Do you buy that argument?
No.
Why not?
There's so many reasons.
Exactly. If you take it in as a total whole, it was detrimental. If you take it just say, oh, instead of riding horses, we got the train. It was very good.
Yeah. They build hospitals, they build schools.
If you take, and that is the exact thing that he said at Oxford. I'm not making this up. He gave the example of the railroad as a progress of Indian society, as the good part of colonialism. He forgot that 20 million people in West Bengal starved to death. He failed to mention that. 20 million. Have you seen pictures? You go out of your mind. 20 million people starved to death, 1941 to 43. People don't know that. So if you make that argument, fine, yeah. Instead of riding donkeys, we started riding trains. Very good.
I think what he's trying to say is if you look at only one aspect of the technology and not the bad part of it, you're missing.
No, not even the bad part, the whole part.
The whole
Sure,
part.
the whole
So if you talk about, for example, C60 and section, that's a good thing. But also
And the
technology has brought other
hold
things
on.
too.
C section is good because you are living in Canada in Western society. Have you seen Africa?
So what? How?
So that's
I mean, if the technology is not reaching there,
then that's the
then
problem.
there are other
That's
regions
what
which
that's
is not
that's
reaching
what
there. But how can you blame
And
them?
that is what exactly
That's
the
a very
progress
good
is talking about. When you are talking about progress, you are talking about humanity in general. You can't be nationalistic. You can't be
Regionally specific.
It's regionalistic.
So I think
It's not universal, right?
another
Sorry?
way to
No, not
say it,
universal. That's what it
That's
is.
Of course.
another way to say it, that technology can progress if it reaches to all people. Or you can say progress is to some people and some are getting deprived.
That-
So this
I
is
will-
what
I will-
supposed to
I will
say.
leave- I will
But
leave
you
it-
are doing the same thing, blanketing all and saying
I
it
think
is
the best
not
argument
progressing.
was for Manmohan Singh promoting colonialism, and he gave the railroad example. I'll leave it to that. Let's move on to the next section. So, the myth of progress. This is another person who, British historian John Gray. He says, renewing the eschatological hopes of the past, progress is an illusion with the future. In fact, what the sociologist Robert Nisbet says, he gives 5 conditions of why this has become very crucial to the modern psychic thing. Is sociologist Robert Nisbet finds that no single idea has been more important than the idea of progress in Western civilization for 3,000 years, and defies 5 crucial premises of idea of progress. Value of the past. Remember, I told you I will come to that point again. Nobility of the Western civilization. People in Africa who have lived in Africa understand this point much better than anybody else, I guess. Worth of economic technological growth. Faith in reason and scientific scholarly knowledge obtained through reason, or I can add empiricism. Intrinsic importance and worth of life on earth. These are 5 premises upon which this myth of progress is based. Value of the past. What do we mean by value of the past? Meaning the past is very valuable, and it teaches us of the present, and it can tell us where we are headed to. Where we came from, where we are, and where we are going. Nobility of Western civilization. This is something that we remember that 3 weeks ago, that call we had. Western civilization or Western people are in a unique position, and unique in the better position, in a positive sense, to study the past and make,
Prognosis for the future.
Sorry?
Prognosis for the future.
Good, thank you. The lack of better words. Worth of economic and you are going to believe that economic growth and technological growth will give you an improvement in your human self. If this was true, on an individual level, everybody should be happy, and no one should go to see a psychiatrist. If that is the case, okay, then in North America and Western Europe, there shouldn't be a psychiatrist. It only should exist in Africa and Asia. Why? Because we have all the technology, we have the economics. Well, why should we be depressed now? Faith in reason. The belief that the aql, the intellect, can lead you to a higher moral ground, for lack of better words. Intrinsic importance and worth of life on earth. Meaning, this is a very dangerous concept, actually. It's a very, very dangerous concept. You are on a very slippery slope. Because if you have one life to live, then I shouldn't stop at anything to get what I want. You see, this is not free. I'm rephrasing these words so that you can understand the impact of these things. If I have only one life to live, then will empower me. It should not discourage. It should, in fact, I need to have everything that I want, because I have one life to live. If brother Irfan has something and I want it and he doesn't want to give it to me, I need to kill him to get it. Because this is it. We don't actually, you see, the problem is this, we read these things, but we don't really understand the impact that this is going to create.
It is the morality, actually.
Another historian writes in 1920, what year is this, 2010, 2018, almost 100 years ago. He says, belief in it is an act of faith. Belief in this idea that we are progressing is an act of faith. It is no different than someone believing that we can have, immortality. These are very dangerous concepts. These things lead to very serious consequences. And for this, that is why we are paying this price. Because as Muslims, we will sit together and will talk, jabber, that we are progressing. Meliorism is the philosophical concept, or if you want to call it the metaphysical analogy of what we are talking about. Because up to now, this thing that we are talking about was in a secular framework. Now this is in a philosophical, metaphysical aspect, and it is the same thing. And it has gone into, look at what he says, to describe positions in bioethics. Think of bioethics is what? It's a very serious business. It's not a word. People just use, throw it around. You are really, very, very important concepts. In fact, progress in history has been criticized by different people, and this is one of the reasons why, look at the founding fathers, what they believed in. They believed that this political system can benefit the human condition. Look, the human condition, both for Americans and also for people, humanity at large. Thus was born the idea of the inimitable America's future progress. You see, ideas are what is going to lead you. That is what motivates you. Social progress, we already dealt with that. This concept came out of enlightenment, Eurocentric concept. Brothers, I can't emphasize further that these are very, very ethnocentric, regional-centric concepts. These are not universal concepts. And the idea that we buy into them, or we even discuss them, actually defeats your narrative. Scientific progress is an open question. That's my. We have discussed this thing. The philosophy of science. Does science progress? It's an open question. How does it progress? What are its tools? In the philosophical position that does it progress is mind-boggling. Now we come to the last part of the section here. I think, and we will close very, very fast here. Can science provide the answers that we're looking at? Most people will say yes. So what I have done is just take snapshots across some few publications. This is not a scholarly work, because if I could go through the academic, I can't present it in this minute. I just taken the like New Scientist, Scientific American, prominent BBC. See what is their viewpoint, and then I will ask you guys, what do you think? Okay, so this is the New Scientist, which is one of the most important publications in popular science journals. Here are 13 things that it says do not make sense. The placebo effect, Dr. Fawaz should know better than that, than all of us, what placebo effect is. And the other ones are skewed towards cosmology and astronomy. But look at the list here. Homeopathy, ultra-energy, these are very fundamental things. And science has no answer for them right now. We think they have. It's not, okay, let's re-emphasize this point. We are not against science. We do the work, in the material work, with the help of science, with the help of logic, with the help of reason. There's no problems with that. But to make that as a belief system, that is a problem. Okay? So let's look at the next one. It says 13 more things that do not make sense. And look at how the words are chosen. The axis of evil. This is astronomical concept, not the Bush concept. So, dark flow. Look at this. We are talking about prehistory, bones. Tens of millions of years ago, the average temperature at the poles was 15 or 20 degrees Celsius. How, if that was the case, how life would have been very different? The current would be different. The wind pattern would be different. I can go on and on that base, just that on this point alone. How can you then assume that the Earth, that 65 million years ago or 40 million years ago, had the same conditions that we have today? Flyby anomalies. These are a very interesting problem in astronomy, but we'll just leave that. Hybrid life. The fusion of two distinct evolutionary lines is not supposed to work, but we know it works because the seas, we find them everywhere.
What do you mean, like, what's an example? Ocean or in the sea?
In the sea, I can give you literal. I can't remember off it right now. Why there's no antimatter? The lithium problem. Again, these ones are skewed towards astronomy and cosmology. That's new scientists. There's a noise from the edge of the universe. What is that?
The edge.
From the furthest point that you can observe. That's what I mean by edge here. The Placebo Effect. 10 mysteries that physics can't answer yet. He puts a yet. He puts a yet. What came before the Big Bang? And the point number 2, brothers, is very interesting. It comes over and over and over again. And you are telling me science has the answers. Okay? Where does quantum weirdness end? Why do we move forwards in time? Einstein never believed in forwardness of time. Why does space has 3 dimensions? Why not 5? Why not 2? Why not 6? Can we get energy from anything? This is the Kashmir effect. Something as basic as a glass. What is a glass? Why is ice slippery?
Well, water wet.
Exactly, yes, that's a valid question. Honestly, yes. 8 simple questions you won't believe science can't answer. How gravity works. Look at the point number 2. The length of the US coastline, or for that matter, any coastline. Look at how 3 different agencies of the biggest, most scientific, advanced nations in the world have come with 3 different answers. 12,380 miles for the US coastline by the CIA. Another study came up with 29,000 miles. Another one comes by 95,000 miles. Imagine if one of you interpret one of the ayahs of the Quran in 3 different ways. You know how many people will be jumping on you? 3 different, look, they are not even close to each other. Oh, here we have how back works, why we sleep. 24 big questions science still needs to answer. I'm not going to go into the list.
Yet.
20 big questions. This is from the Guardian, UK Guardian. When can I have a robot butler? Okay, now we are coming to the most interesting one. Pay attention to this. This was just like, I was just setting you guys up. Listen to these ones. Why do we yawn?
You tired?
I don't want answers. Just
you want answers?
I'm telling you that
Because
science
of your
doesn't
lecture.
have. Because of my lecture, very good. Why do we sneeze? Look at I took this snapshot so that you guys believe. Don't think I'm just writing something out of my head. These are Scientific American, Popular Science, New York Times.
It's very good.
Big question: why does scratching make you itch more?
It's true.
Okay. Science. This science behind the itch. Big question. Okay, let's come on. Let's go on. What makes us laugh? What makes us laugh? Huh? I will tell you all the answers to these questions very soon. Okay?
English one or Punjabi one?
How more 5 simple questions. Why are there blood types? Why do women experience menopause? What's a planet? Why, and on and on and on. Okay. 6 scientific discoveries that laugh in the face of physics. You know what is the quantum Zeno effect? If I tell you this thing, it is very interesting. Quantum Zeno effect is so interesting, it baffles everybody. If you observe, I'm going to put it in a very simple language. If you observe, if you see a radioactive isotope and you keep looking at it, through your device, experiment device, nothing happens. You shut down the experiment, go out of the lab, come back, it has decayed into 2 radionuclides. And it has been repeated not once, not twice, many times.
Same double slit experiment. Same
Double slit, yes, we can call it in that way.
wave and particle issue.
Okay?
They were shy.
The very fundamental law of conservation of energy, which you are taught as soon as you reach grade 6, 7, is violated. You don't know why it's violated, how it works. The sun can actually make substances that are hotter than itself. Can you see the paradox there?
Seriously?
Not seriously. This is what they are saying. I don't know.
Yeah, they're saying that now. It will be in the sun.
What is I can go on and go on this thing, but let's come back to and I will close up here. So I'm going to go back to point here.
The answer.
Yes. So the question is this: when you ask these questions, you ask in a frame of reference. You are asking these questions in the frame of reference of science, and you're going to be honest. Science does not have answers. Okay? So, who sneezed the first time? Who sneezed the first time? Adam alayhi salam. That is a different. That answer that has nothing to do with science. And when you conflate the two of them, you get a problem. That answer is in the framework of Tawheed, Islam, Risalat, Akhirah. It has nothing to do with science. If you want to have a scientific explanation of what Zubair Bhai just said, then you are going to mix up everything. There are 2 different systems. Why do we yawn?
He already told you.
I want a hadith on that.
Is the hadith about that?
Yes. You see?
SubhanAllah.
You see? The point I'm trying to say here is there are 2 different systems of thoughts. They are based on fundamental different principles. They are based on different...
They're addressing different questions. Why and how?
No, some of the questions are equally valid in both systems. But some of them are not. One of the things that is fundamental, and this is from where the Quran starts. Remember, Alif Lam Mim Zalikal Kitabu La Raiba Fi Hudan Lil Muttaqin Allazina Yu'minuna Bil Ghaib. Bil Ghaib. The Ghaib, fundamentally, Islam takes this position. The Ghaib is known only to Allah and to whoever Allah gives to. This is the fundamental position. Once you know that that is a Ghaib, and it has been answered by one of these methods that Allah has chosen to reveal to human beings, then we close the book. Like if these 4 examples that I just sent you here. See, we had the yawn, we had the sneeze, we had the itch, and we had the laugh. Out of this 4, 3 have answers in the hadith. 1 does not.
Oh, interesting.
That one that does not, is fair game for you. Analyze it however you want to do it. The one that has is hadith on it, either you accept it or you reject it. That's your choice. But don't mix. Listen, I'm not asking you, but don't mix it with science. These are 2 different things. It's just like he's riding, Toyota, I am riding Honda. And we decide to take the Honda engine and put it in the Toyota engine. And so we ride together. Because, we don't want to be on separate cars. We want to feel good. Will it work? I don't think so, not very long time. It might, just for a short while.
Designed differently.
Right? So, The summary of this, I think I've run out of time here. Summary of this thing is science and Islam are complementary. They can supplement each other. But at the same time, they are two different things. And those two different things, once you understand those two different things, aspect of those two things, you can't mix them together. The principle of uniformity of, let me give you an example. When I came to the United States, my first lecture, actually my second lecture, was oral communication. And you know what the teacher said? I had a problem with is I do not make eye contact with her when I'm talking to her. That is part of oral communication. I said, why? He said, you are not confident. I said, who told you that? How do you know that I'm not confident just because you can't see my eye? So she says, but that's the way it is. Why aren't you? I said, could it be because I'm from a system where respect is shown to others to lower your gaze?
Yep.
It has nothing to do with confidence.
It's a cultural.
So she says, where are you from? I said, I grew up in Africa. And this is what we are taught. Are you saying that is wrong? And she took a defensive position by then. Because, I said, no, you have cultural practice, but you are here, so you have to adjust. I said, sure, that's a different thing. But don't call it wrong. Second thing is, the philosophy of religion. What is the philosophy of civilization? The concept is, man was savage, he has become civilized. Steven Pinker wrote a book on it. Horgan, I can't remember his first name, wrote a rebuttal on it, that this is not true. If this was true,
But media is not promoting that. Media is promoting Stephen.
Exactly.
Only.
Horgan, if this was true, I will just give you one empirical evidence. The most brutal time in the history of the world was the 20th century. Because it had three world wars.
Yeah.
First World War, Second World War, and the Cold War. People think the Cold War was not a war, but it was, ask the people of Ethiopia and Somalia, ask the people of
Sudan.
Angola, ask the people of Sudan,
North and South.
how cold that Cold War was,
Korea.
or Korea. So the misnomer that the Cold War was cold, let's drag that out of existence. On the other hand, the man was polytheist and he became a monotheist. This is the position on the philosophy of religion of modern education. Islam is very clear on this. Allah created man as a monotheist. It was only later that he became a polytheist. And to change that polytheistic position, he sent his Rasul and his Anbiyas to change that position. And the last of which was Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay? And I'm going to give you an anecdotal evidence here. Like people mix it up, but take it in context. Don't go and start arguing on it. The position that the physiology of human beings was the same previously as today can again be falsified. If you see that we accept that Hawa al-Islam had multiple pregnancies in the same day. And the children of the first pregnancy, the twins out of the first pregnancy, married, vice versa, with the children of the other pregnancy. If it is going to take 9 months to have that, the calculation will really be offset. So I'm not saying, please don't go and grab me and say, oh, this is not in authentic books. This is just, I'm trying to explain something. The position that we take, that the principles of science are given and they are correct, can lead you to some serious problems. So we should be aware of those principles and we should mitigate those ones by our knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His rahmah has sent to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam so that we can be rightly guided.